Hello everybody and welcome back to the Right Bench Podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm James.
This will be Season 2, Episode 6, NBA Edition, first round special. We'll have a rounding association talking about all the first round matchups, and then we'll have Gimme 5. So I'm excited. I know James is excited. Let's get it started.
Yeah, let's get it. Come on.
Number 1 seed Thunder, number 8 seed Pelicans. Thunder sweep them 4-0. One thing about this series is OKC, obviously, their defense was amazing. Pel's highest score in this series was 92. In today's NBA, that's incredible, right? It's a very young team. Obviously, the questions were, are they going to be mature in the playoffs? They were. They were very mature, very collected. This is a great sign for them.
Yeah, this Thunder team was insanely fun to watch. They played with passion. They played with pride. They were very mature, even though they are young and they play as a team, right? So they do everything they need to do, and they do it right. They're coached by the Coach of the Year, Mark Daiglenault.
Dagenhalt.
Dude, I want to call him Daiglenault. That's a cool, cool name. Daiglenault.
Okay. He did win Coach of the Year. Did you say that? Okay.
Yeah, Coach of the Year. So let's give OKC their flowers, but let's get into the bigger elephant in the room. What can the Pelicans do to get better?
Yeah, obviously the big thing that happened, Brandon Ingram struggled. It's just he had to create for himself against one of the best defenders in the league. And it's really not going to help. He's not a guy that's going to be able to create for himself too much. He's a guy that goes to a spot and doesn't miss from a spot.
Yeah.
Okay? So being a number one isn't really his thing. He's going to have a guy to make for him, kind of like Zion Williamson. Mm-hmm. Or if you trade for a guy like Trae Young, which I think they should do, but, that's just me. What do you think?
Yeah, Brandon Ingram struggled. And I'll be honest with you, I think this is the final straw where he's got to go. He's shown things in the regular season where his attitude wasn't the best. He showed plays or situations where it's like we're better when you're off the court, right? Especially in that first play-in game against the Lakers. The Pelicans were genuinely better when he was off the court. And in Game 1, he put up 12 points. He shot 5 from 17 from the field. And then Game 4, which was the biggest one, he only had 8 points and he shot 2 for 14 from the field. It's just not a great look for Brandon Ingram, in my opinion, and I think the Pelicans need to move on.
Well, okay, you're using I don't think they should move on. He's a great player. He's not a number one. He's a great player. And you're taking the smallest sample size you could. 5 games, he was bad. For 5 games. After he got hurt. Coming off his injury, for 5 games, he was bad.
Okay, but good players have to switch into great players when it comes to playoff time. That's what we've seen.
He's not a great player. He's not a great player. He's not a number one player.
Well, he has to be in this situation. I mean, you've seen guys that have to step up as a number 2. Like, you have to. A guy like Josh Hart the other night, which we'll talk about later in a Game 6, Philly versus New York, you got to take that game or you might lose this series. He hits a clutch 3. Like, there's a bunch of different things that role players have to do. I mean, I know Brandon Ingram shouldn't have to go out there every single night and get 30, but give me one. Give me one game. Go steal a game. Go turn into a superstar for one game. You are an all-star candidate player. You have to step up when it comes to playoff time.
He was a superstar against the Kings. He was.
Okay, cool.
He did, and it's just...
How many did he have in that game?
I don't remember, but he took over the game in the third quarter and won the game for the Pelicans. So, I mean, like, he wasn't good. He's coming off an injury. Going against one of the best defenders in the NBA, he was not good. But you don't move on from it. I think you build this team. You use your depth. You use Dyson Daniels, Jordan Hawkins, Jose Alvarado. 2 of those 3 guys can go, in my opinion. Ooh. With all your tradable first-round picks, you can really get an all-star for that. And so, like, that's what you got to do. You got to go get an all-star. Make Brandon Ingram your, like, 2A or number 3 guy, and your team will really be much better.
I'll disagree with that. I think you build around your young core. I mean, a guy like E.J. Liddell, who barely played this year, he's been had a lot of injuries throughout his career. He was a stud out of Ohio State. Ingram going, that opens up minutes for him. It opens up minutes for Dyson Daniels, who I believe can become a great player. And Jordan Hawkins is literally Cam Thomas. He can get you a bucket whenever you need it, and that's what this Pelicans needed at times. So, I think you build around the young core. I think the 2 guys that have to go is Brandon Ingram and Jonas. I think CJ can stay. But I think this Pelicans team has to improve in the offseason.
I would trade CJ before I traded Brandon Ingram. And in the regular season, Brandon Ingram was the guy that get the bucket when we were on a slump. He was the guy. You gave it to him in a spot, and he wouldn't miss.
The problem is he's supposed to be this mid-range master, and he's really not that efficient at it. He's not efficient. That's the problem. He's really not. What, he averaged, 20 this year?
He averaged 20.
20. It's a smooth 20. That's great, right? But, like...
Field goal percentage?
You got to step up, man. I just don't... I'm not a big fan of Brandon Ingram. I think his attitude is lazy at times. And that is not what I think this Pelicans identity needs to be.
He shot 49% from the field this year.
Everybody else on this team plays with energy, plays with aggression, and I feel like Brandon Ingram is just the guy sticking out.
Okay. He shot 49% from the field this year.
Yeah, that's average.
That's including 35% from three. So from mid-range, what do you think he shot? 60? 60% from mid-range, that's not efficient.
60% from mid-range. Would that be how the math shakes out?
I can't. I'm not doing it in my. I'm doing it in my head, but like, yeah.
Yeah, it would be around. Yeah, it'd be around like 57. So yeah, so something like that.
It's amazing.
I mean,
and how do you call it? You call it not efficient?
Okay, like Kevin Durant probably shot 85% from mid-range this year.
Didn't.
Like, dude, it's not.
85%.
You don't realize how of a stat overblown that stat is. Like,
he didn't shoot.
Kevin Durant shot probably 80% from mid-range.
No, he didn't. Like, nobody in the NBA can shoot 50% from mid-range.
50% from mid-range?
80. I mean 80. Sorry, 80%. Nobody's doing that.
Never know, man. I don't think Brandon Ingram is the guy for the Pelicans. He's been decent, but like, you're supposed to be the number one guy this year. You've been the number one guy.
He's not supposed to be for the number one
He's
guy.
He's been there the longest. Zion has been injured. You know you have to step up, and he never did that. I don't think Brandon Ingram needs to stay. I think it's a dumb decision by the Pelicans.
Well, that's a dumb take by you. All right, next series. Timberwolves sweep the Suns 4-0. Anthony Edwards showed that he's a top 10 player, arguably. 31 points per game. Karl-Anthony Towns out of his playoff slump, so that's good for him. Change the narrative on him.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, I mean, Cat, the way that he got to his spots from three and the way that he can shoot it for a big man, he could go down as the best shooting big man of all time. He genuinely could. He's the best one in the NBA right now, so he could go down as it all time. But let's give Anthony Edwards his flowers, man, because he's a 23-year-old and he's the leader of this team, and he averaged 31 in this series. His favorite player of all time is Kevin Durant. Cooked him the entire series. Anthony Edwards is going to be the face of the league in a couple years.
Yeah.
He's just an amazing player.
Yeah. All right. Move on to the Suns.
Yeah.
Bad season. One of the worst, one of the most disappointing seasons ever by any team. So you gotta look at it. You traded all your picks. You don't have any picks until 2031. You have no depth. You have no point guard. What do you do? And you have no money to spend.
Yeah. That's the problem with the Suns. I have that right here. What do the Suns do? What's the move? Because Devin Booker's not leaving. He's a Sun for life, in my opinion. He shouldn't leave. He's your 27-year-old superstar.
Is it his choice?
So, is it
his choice? If he doesn't want to leave.
Oh, if he doesn't want to leave, then he'll stay. If he wants to leave, then that's the only situation I see him getting out, is if he wants to leave. They will not trade him.
Okay.
Bradley Beal has no trade clause. You saw Bradley Beal was... Honestly, I'm going to be frank with you, he's horrible in that game 4. Horrible. He had 9 points. He had 6 turnovers. And, he went and sulked on the bench after he fouled out. So
he wanted to foul out, is what it looks like.
I don't know if he wanted to foul out.
2 straight ticky-tack fouls.
I just think he was a little annoyed. That doesn't mean that I don't know if that would mean... Actually, he didn't have a ticky-tack foul. His last foul was him going for the ball. But I think he was a little annoyed. A bunch of different things. And Kevin Durant's always complaining about something. And, he's probably your most talented player on the team. So, how do you trade a guy like that? So, the 2 biggest problems for the Suns, though, this year was, in my opinion, coaching/rotations, and then no point guard. Your point guard, we said this at the beginning of the year, it can hinder you. You have to have a guy that can facilitate. And James Jones, the GM of the Suns, actually said... We don't want a point guard. We don't want to take the ball away from our 3 guys, which makes sense in hindsight. But you got to have someone who can facilitate all these stars, right? And then the coaching, the bad rotations. I mean, Bol should have played more, in my opinion. Thaddeus Young is a veteran who's played in the playoffs more. There's guys off your bench that need to play more. He brought Josh Okogie for the first time in months out in Game 3, and they go on an 8-0 run. It's there's a bunch of different things that Vogel could have done better. I don't think you blame it on him. But the Suns team just had so many problems as a franchise this year. Just a bad year.
The Bradley Beal trade might be one of the worst decisions ever. I mean, he's guaranteed $57 million this year. Next year,
I think 53.
And then at some point, he gets to 57. He has no trade clause. He has if he doesn't want to go somewhere, he doesn't have to. And his attitude's bad. He played bad, He was a bad player in the playoffs, and you're paying him $50 million. So you have no money to spend on anyone else. So at this point, you have to just sign veterans and run it back, and just be at 60 until 2031.
I agree. I think the best move for the Suns here. I still believe this team can go win a championship. I truly do. They have to figure it out, and I think you have to keep your big three together. Keep a lot of guys there, honestly. Make your team gel. You see teams like the Nuggets. You see teams like the Celtics. They've been together a couple of years, right? The Celtics, in my opinion, you wouldn't call them a super team. They're kind of a super team in a way.
Who is?
But they've been together for multiple years. The Celtics, right? You have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis, who all three played like all-stars this year. Two of them were. Porzingis should have been. So, like, those three guys is a super team, but also that team has been gelling for 4 years, right? So if the Suns can just take time to gel, I think they can genuinely still win a championship. I just think the moves in the offseason have to be right.
I disagree. I mean, if you want to be a good team, you have to go get some veteran players on veteran minimums that are like incredible. Like you have to go get some incredible players on veteran minimums. That's just tough to do. All right, next series. Talk about the seed of a franchise. A guy that's shaped kind of like a seed. Nikola Jokic. 2-seed Nuggets beat 7-seed Lakers 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can stop Jokic. He averaged 28, 16, and 10 in the series.
Yeah.
And pair that with Jamal Murray's game winners. I mean, it's just
winners
incredible.
with an S.
Yeah,
that means
multiple.
2. He hit a game winner in Game 2 and Game 5. Playoff Jamal Murray. He's like pretty much the next Jimmy Butler in playoff time. He turns it to a different gear. He hit 1 in Game 2, 1 in Game 5. Pretty much the exact same play. And the one thing about the Nuggets, their mental game is strong. They make you think when you're up by 10, like the Lakers were up by 10 multiple times in the series. They could have genuinely won this series. You're not up by 10. The Nuggets make you think you are, but their mental game is so tough, in my opinion, and they're so seasoned. And this team is really, really good. They're the best team in the NBA, in my opinion. They just won a championship last year. Like, they have to be the best team. And I just think the mental and physical game was just too tough for the Lakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Oh, and LeBron's going to decline his player option.
Is he?
And most likely enter free agency.
Huh.
He hasn't said that.
Interesting.
But
yeah, I mean, the Nuggets team is just built so perfectly. You have the offense of Murray, Jokic. You have the defense, Aaron Gordon, KCP. It all comes together, and it's beautiful to watch. And that's why they're going to win the championship again.
It's insanely fun to watch.
Lakers, I mean, nobody played well past Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
Yeah.
Their next best score was Austin Reeves, 13.
Yeah, D'Lo struggled in this series.
You have to change something. LeBron's probably going to leave.
Does he want to leave? That's the biggest question.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you have to draft Bronny in the second round if you want a chance at LeBron. So, that, and then, like, do you re-sign some guys? Do you trade? Like, what do? You have 3 tradable first-round picks. You got to go get a guy that Trae Young.
Yeah, maybe. I just don't know what the Lakers do here. And if we want to talk about the biggest news that actually came out today, Darvin Ham is no longer the coach. They've had 4 coaches in 7 years. There's a common denominator here, and it's not the coach, in my opinion.
LeBron James.
And maybe it's LeBron James. Maybe it's just that this team that they built, it's not that good, right? And the coach can't really fix anything. You go in your 5th coach in 8 years, I don't think the coach matters at this point. And I would love to see a J.J. Redick in Los Angeles. I mean, literally, J.J. Redick and LeBron James have a podcast, just like us, and they...
Just like us.
Yeah, we're he's LeBron, I'm J.J. Redick, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So, like, but they're literally drawing up plays and like, oh, I do this on this play. Like, can you imagine just like a player-coach type of thing would be very fun to watch, and I think J.J. should genuinely consider being the coach.
Yeah, if I'm J.J., I don't want to go to the Lakers. Because,
yeah, I mean, they're dumpster fire, but...
Yeah, like, it's just a death sentence to go to the Lakers at this point. Like,
he's interviewed in 2 different jobs,
it's a coach death sentence.
Washington, Charlotte.
I'd rather go to a place that's rebuilding and get credit for rebuilding them, right? Yeah. And not get fired after 20 games because your team's not good, right? Anyway, next series, closing out the West, the Mavericks are up on the Clippers right now, 3-2. This is a really close series, as expected.
Yep.
Luka and Kyrie have been amazing. One of my key matchup for this series was Kawhi versus his knee. The knee's winning. Knee's winning. He's out for Friday. He's out for Friday's game. He's played 2 games this series, and that's part of why the Mavericks are where they are.
I'm done with Kawhi Leonard. Clippers, get him out. He doesn't play in the playoffs, so what's the point in having him on this roster? 0 point. He needs to go. He's got less career points than Thaddeus Young. Let that sink in for a minute. Thaddeus Young's also played about 5 more years. But, like, Kawhi Leonard, you're supposed to be, like, a top 10 player in the NBA. Like, no, you have to play. Clippers, get him out.
Yeah, the only reason the Clippers are in this series right now and it's not over is because of James Harden.
Yeah.
Averaging 22 and 8, he's the X factor for the rest of this series if they want to have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then final thing for me, the Clippers are kind of trolling the the Mavericks for the last game, where the Mavericks stumped on them. It was a little billboard outside the stadium that said Dallas to Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
This is not going to happen.
That was great.
So.
But, and the X factor for me is Terrence Mann. He played amazing on Luka in Game 3. And it's interesting, they haven't played him on him as much as they did when they actually did lock up Luka. And not lock up, but like, you made Kyrie beat you, and you won the game. So it was like, I think Terrence Mann is going to be the X factor and having to defend Luka Doncic.
All right, next series.
Let's do it.
Go to the East. 1 seed Celtics beat the 8 seed Heat 4-1. Surprised that he got one game, honestly. I mean, the Celtics are a super team, one of the best net ratings of any team ever in the regular season. And so their defense was elite in the series. Their offense wasn't, though. Is there concern there?
Yeah. I mean, no. There's zero concern. If Tatum or Brown has a bad game, others step up. I mean, Derek White had 38 points in Game 4, I believe. Tatum shot 5 for 14 from the field. Not a good game for him at all. And Derek White steps up, right? The Celtics team has so many guys who can step up to the plate when needed that I don't think the offense, if it goes stagnant, I don't think it'll matter. This team's too good defensively.
Amazing.
And they've got so many different role players that they can lean on.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I have here is, could this series have been different with Jimmy Butler? They got one without him. I think they could easily, I mean, not easily, obviously, but like, they had a chance at the series with Jimmy Butler, I think. Because you didn't get the Celtics' best series. You didn't.
No, you didn't.
So, part of why the Celtics' defense was so good because the Heat offense wasn't. So if you add that playoff clutch guy like Jimmy Butler onto your team, I think it's a very different series.
Yeah, I think the Celtics still win it in 6. Maybe Jimmy gives you one more game, but I don't know. The Celtics team's too poised. But if we want to talk about Jimmy Butler, he wants a max extension. He wants to go back to Miami, but it's about $110 million for 2 years. 2 years.
Do it.
I say no. I don't think the Heat should do it.
Why not?
I think you build around Bam. I don't think there's any point in having Jimmy in Miami anymore. He got you to 2 finals. He didn't win either of them, which was awesome. But like you have to have a guy who at least is decent in the playoffs or in the regular season, so maybe you can get a better seed. That's what Miami has struggled with for the last 5 years. You need a better seed, right? You go on these runs, but like you have home court advantage in a Game 7. Maybe you win more. Like, there's a bunch of different things that I think you just have to move on from Jimmy at this point. So I think the Heat need to go into a little rebuild. Just a little.
I mean, that guy was supposed to be Terry Rozier at the deadline. Was supposed to be that guy.
He was?
And he wasn't. He completely faded away.
He was great in the first, 8 games, and then he was just stagnant.
All right.
We didn't talk about the biggest news, though. Porzingis down with a calf injury.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
He will be back if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's a big loss for the Celtics.
They shouldn't have a problem.
But they should get through Orlando or Cleveland either way.
Yeah.
But that is something to look at.
All right, next series, 6 seed Pacers knock off the 3 seed Bucks 4-2.
I literally had knockoff. That's funny.
The Giannis injury kind of derailed Milwaukee, right? I think this series looks very different if they have Giannis. And Dame and Chris Middleton were very good, though, right? But Siakam, Miles Turner were better. And they had more depth. And Indiana, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Indiana had more depth, and they had better coaching. And they shoot the ball so well.
Yeah. What does Dame have to do to go to a winning team, man? What does he have to do? Is there just something wrong with his life? Just I don't understand. He just goes to the Bucks, who is a team who could genuinely win a championship. Giannis gets hurt. They don't play well in the playoffs. Dame gets hurt. What does he have to do to win? It's so sad. He needed more with him in the playoffs. But if we want to give the Pacers their flowers, Tyrese Halliburton honestly didn't give his best series. He's been in a slump.
I have it right here. He needs to be better.
Honestly, since the in-season tournament, he's been in kind of a slump shooting-wise. But Obi Toppin has reinvented his career. This dude was a bar bench player, right bench player for the Knicks, and he puts up 21 in Game 6, and he led the team. So, like, this is what you want to see from your role players, and I think this Indiana team can genuinely shock some people and make it to an Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, but you got any Halliburton to be better. Yeah, so what now for the Bucks, right? You lost here. Giannis got hurt. Obviously, you keep Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep Dame? Probably. I think that second guard, though, needs to be, not Malik Beasley, needs to be a more defensive player.
Yeah, I don't know. Malik Beasley, I mean, put up an amazing shooting season this year.
Yeah.
On his
great.
contract, it was great.
Yeah, he's great.
And you got Pat Bev, who was supposed to be more that defensive anchor. He just brought more fuel to the fire, honestly. Like, it wasn't... Pat Bev is not really a guy you want on your team. I'm going to be totally honest with you. He got into it with a fan, actually, after Game 6, threw a ball at him. Like, a bunch of different things. Got into it with a reporter about not subscribing to his podcast. Like, dude, get over your ego. This Bucks team used to be a fun team to watch. They're no longer as fun to watch, and they need to, figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Malik Beasley's great, but you need that second guy. I think that's where you start.
I get it.
And you move on from Brook Lopez. He's getting old.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something to...
Chris Middleton killed it in this series, though. I'll give him his flowers.
Yeah, absolutely. Next series. Cavaliers 3, Magic 2. It's only one of 2 series still in progress.
Oh, man,
It's been a very defensive series. Really defensive. But Cleveland is the more talented team. That's why they're going to win. One thing I have for Orlando is they need to have more offense if they want to win this series, right? They only have 3 guys averaging over 10 points per game on their team.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you say defense, I say more scrappy. But either way, defense, 1,000%, this has been a defensive series. Which I honestly didn't expect. I expected more offense. But I don't know. I mean, the Cavs' offense is loaded, man.
Yeah, it is.
And Orlando plays very good defense, but also their offense is, they're pretty electric. My favorite player, honestly, in the NBA to watch is Jalen Suggs. He is honestly my favorite player to watch in the entire NBA. If there was a Hustle Player of the award winner, he'd win it. But I think Paolo's going to have this team in the Eastern Conference Finals in 3 years. I don't think it's going to be this year because I think the Cavs have more talent.
Yeah.
But Orlando's fun. They're mature and they play as a team. But I think that the Cavs are going to take this one home. I feel bad, but it might be to a Game 7. But I can't see the Magic winning in Game 7.
Yeah, one reason the Cavs are winning the series is rebounding.
Yep.
They have Twin Towers out-rebounding the Magic. That's something they're going to have to improve on in the offseason if they want a chance at the playoff run.
And it's so interesting. Jared Allen actually goes out in Game 5. Their rebounding was so good in those first 4 games. Jared Allen goes out with an injury. He won't be back for Game 6 either. And the rebounding dipped a little bit, right? So Orlando started getting more rebounds. They need to capitalize on that in Game 6. But yeah, 1,000%. The rebounding for Cleveland, especially in the first 4 games, was amazing.
Yep, absolutely. That's what they're getting, right?
Yep.
You're sacrificing a little spacing, but you're getting Jared Allen and Evan Mobley in the paint.
Yep.
Last series, 2-seed Knicks beat the 7-seed 76ers in 6 games. Jalen Brunson's a superstar.
Yep,
He's a top 10 player in the league.
Best point guard in the East.
35.5 points per game.
I mean, he's averaging the most in the postseason, I believe.
Yeah, yep. I don't think it's close.
And I think he's averaging 35. The next guy's averaging like 31, I think. So
33.
33. Joel Embiid's averaging 33. But he's gone now. So Joel Embiid, if we want to talk about him, he's now considered a playoff loser. I'll be totally honest with you. He's gone out in the second round the last 3 years, and now he goes out in the first round. You got to step it up. I understand you're a 7 seed, but this Knicks team is very banged up right now. You don't have Julius Randle or Bogdanovich. Like, they're both out for the season. Sixers have to capitalize. Maxey played great in this season, and I think he'll be one of the best players in the NBA in 4 to 5 years. But the Villanova connection for the Knicks was the most impressive thing. Brunson, DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart all played at Villanova on 2 championship-winning teams, and their connection is just shown. Like, there was a sequence where Dante DiVincenzo hit that crazy 3, I believe, in Game 4 of this series. And it reminded me of the big 3 in Heat when Ray Allen hits a shot, because it's like Jalen Brunson misses, Josh Hart gets the rebound, kicks it back out to DiVincenzo, and it's money. Like, it's kind of a cool situation, and I don't know, I'm cheering for the Knicks.
Yeah, me too. Josh Hart played great, but the thing in the series for me was depth. No depth for the 76ers. They had Embiid. They had Maxey. They played great. But the depth, and there was nothing after that. Tobias Harris laid an egg.
Mm-hmm.
But depth was not a problem for the Knicks. They had 6 players over 10 points per game.
Yeah, they killed
Magic
it.
had 3. They have 6. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys stepping up, right? Hartenstein, Miles McBride.
His
over
defense.
10 points per game, too. Over 10 points per game as well.
His defense was amazing, too.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
One more thing I have in this series is, can you blame Joel Embiid for this loss? Because he's supposed to be the wheel of the team, right? He's supposed to have things running, right? But he got hurt this year, and he was obviously not 100% with his eye injury and what was it, a knee injury?
Yep.
So he's not 100%. Obviously played great. So I don't know if you can really put this season on him. I think the pressures was greater before the injury than it is after.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right. Well, keep watching the playoffs. Second round should start in a couple of days, and we will see what happens with that. But let's get into the one and only Gimme 5. We'll get LeBron up there in a second. But I am leading right now. The score is 40-34. Still have the glasses for the third consecutive week. Charlie's gonna.
It's like 5.
Charlie will try to steal them back.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Whatever.
You wanna go first?
I'll give you first. Because
Alright.
you can kind of see mine better. I don't know. Alright. Give me 5. Give me the top 5 NBA players this season based on three-pointers made per game.
I know Curry's 1. So you can put Curry at 1 because I
sure about that?
Yep, 1,000%. I know Curry's
sure.
at 1. Curry's been at 1 for the last 5 years.
Somebody could come out of nowhere.
He'll be number 1 this year.
Okay.
I believe Clay is still on this list. I think he's probably farther down. Let's think of superstars. Halliburton shot the heck out of the ball this year. I don't think he's up there. Luka's probably up there somewhere. Let's go. I think Steph, Luka, and Clay are all up there. The other two, I have no clue. I'm just trying to think through this.
I did 4 and 5 are a tie. I flipped a coin.
Okay.
Which is the rule.
Gotcha. Yeah. I will put Curry at 1, Luka at 2. I'll put Clay down at 5 because I think he's pretty low. Now,
3 and 4.
I kind of want to put Halliburton at 4, but
never know.
Just trying to think of who just shot the heck out of the ball this year. Grayson Allen didn't make a ton of threes a game. I know he's probably not up there. Trey Murphy is not up there. You can just shoot the heck out of the ball. TJ McConnell, probably not. Brunson, probably not. Put Halliburton at 4 and put... Put Maxey at 3.
Okay. Well, you might have put me away here. This is too easy, in my opinion.
Wait, that good?
No, you do really well. All right, you may have put me away. Number 1 was Steph Curry, 4.8. 3 points made per game. Number 2...
TJ McConnell, I said his name.
TJ McConnell's not up here.
What?
Can you read?
Oh, CJ McConnell.
Okay, number 2 was Luka Doncic, 4.1, so that's going to be 3 points for both of those.
Let's go.
Number 3 was CJ McCollum, not TJ McConnell.
Yeah, I thought so.
You said Tyrese Maxey. Number 4 was Klay Thompson. You said Tyrese Halliburton, that's 2 points.
Okay.
And then number 5 was Dante DiVincenzo.
I thought that name too when I was going through Brunson, but I didn't think you made that
3.5 for both Klay and DiVincenzo.
Flipped
a coin, Klay was up there. So you have 8.
Let's go.
48 points. You are you're 22 away from winning. So that's interesting. All right, I'm gonna have to put up a big outing here.
Mine is also NBA.
Okay, we'll see. This is.
I don't think this is too bad.
Okay.
I'd say it's in the middle.
Okay.
I feel like I would be able to name all 5. So
yeah, well, obviously, because you're better NBA.
I'm just saying, so if I can name all 5, I think you can name at least 3.
Okay.
The most technical fouls this year.
This year,
the top 5 guys.
Okay,
I'll tell you this: the number 1 guy has 18, and the number 5 guy had 14. Okay. So it was pretty close.
I don't watch that much NBA. Okay.
Think of some villains.
Draymond Green, number 1. Okay, I'm playing Draymond at number 1.
You just want to do that?
Yes, I'm gonna do that.
Use your pencil.
Draymond Green. Okay. Who else? Who else got technical fouls?
Think of villains and crybabies.
LeBron James is a crybaby.
Dude, that could be on like a shirt. Villains and crybabies.
LeBron James could be. It'd be.
Dude,
LeBron
I'm gonna
James.
start using that. Villains and crybabies. When we get Right Bench podcast merch, that's coming out.
That's weird. Okay, LeBron James is a crybaby. Just generational talent of crying. So I'm gonna put him at 4.
Okay.
Pat Beverly could be on there. I don't know if he played enough though. I'll put Beverly at 5.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know where to go at this point. Like,
The biggest villain is the guy you're leaving off in the
biggest
NBA.
villain in the NBA? Is that not
Everyone
Draymond?
hates him. Everyone hates him.
Is that not Draymond?
Not everyone hates Draymond. I think people literally on his team hate him at moments. His old team hates him. That's all I'm gonna
Is
say.
it like James Harden?
I'm done. I'm not gonna say
No. Ugh, I don't know anything. Okay. This is so frustrating. Who? Can I look at the teams?
Sure.
Okay.
They're all.
Okay.
They
let's
were
see.
all starters this year.
Okay, they're all starters.
that helps.
So Pat Beverly's not on there.
Okay, you want me to take them off?
Yes, take them off. Who
Okay.
else did I? Who did I have at number 4?
You're LeBron.
LeBron. Yeah, he's on there. Okay. Rudy Gobert could be on there. He is kind of a bad guy. I don't know. Bulls, nah. Cavaliers, no. Pistons, not really. Pacers, Bucks, Warriors, Clippers. Could be a guy from the Clippers. I mean, James Harden, probably not though. I don't know anything about like technical fouls or like. I don't know who got them. Is it like Dylan Brooks? Dylan Brooks is number. Oh yeah, that's the guy you're talking about. Okay, Dylan Brooks. Is he number 1? I'm gonna put Dylan Brooks at number 1 and Draymond at number 2.
Okay.
And then I have. Let's see. I'll put James Harden number 5. Let me do.
The biggest crybabies in the league.
Well, LeBron. When I think of crybaby, I think LeBron is like Joel Embiid's kind of a foul merchant. I don't know, but that wouldn't be a crybaby type thing. I don't think. I'll put crybabies. Biggest crybaby in the league. Is it Kawhi? Is it Kevin Durant? Is it? Sorry I'm taking so long.
Don't worry about it.
Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, put Kevin Durant at. No. Sorry. Who did I say before Kevin Durant? Said Kawhi. Okay, put Kawhi at 3. And then who do I have 4 left?
Pick another one. Kawhi can't play enough games
Okay.
to get that many times.
Okay. Put
I
Kevin
think
Durant.
he played 18 games total.
Put Kevin. It's not true. Put Kevin Durant number 3.
Okay.
And then put.
You got your whole list.
Wait, who do you have?
It's Brooks, Dre, KD, LeBron, Harden.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
Bad day.
Yeah. Like what? Like, this is such hard.
You got
You
you
can't
got 2
understand-
points.
You
So
can't understand what's difficult and what's not.
you got 2 points. And it was for the Dylan Brooks one. He was actually at 2.
Okay.
Number 1 crybaby in the league, Luka Doncic was at
He was
1.
not-
We had 18 technical fouls, so
That's
obviously
so
it
dumb.
kind of
Like,
is.
You can't give me this impossible NBA one. I'm never gonna get.
Luka's at number 1 with 18. Dylan Brooks right behind him at 17. He had 2 points there, but down the list, the guy who I knew you weren't going to get, Bobby Portis, was at 3.
What?
The other 2 you should have. Maybe not the last one. Anthony Edwards, 15.
How am I supposed to know he's a crybaby?
And Grant Williams with 14.
Okay, yeah, he's
who,
terrible. But
you know.
how am I supposed to like think of Anthony Edwards as someone who gets technical fouls?
You should think about a guy who talks to the refs a
I
lot.
don't know. I don't watch NBA.
Like
I
LeBron
don't know who
should.
talks to-
LeBron should have more, but think about it. LeBron's like the face of the league. They're not.
Yeah, okay,
they don't
well.
give him that many texts.
I'll remember this. I thought I gave you a pretty easy one this week.
I-
I did. I did give you a really easy one this week. But you know, I'll remember this. We're getting tougher. We're gonna be getting a little tougher, James.
Dude,
A
I
little
gave
bit
you some
tougher.
really layups in the beginning.
Yeah, and then you gave me like all
You
these.
should have gotten your points at the beginning,
I
brother.
did. I gave you my points at the beginning, and then
well,
you started
enough.
giving me impossible ones.
I've given you just 2 hard ones in the last 2
You
weeks.
give me like 4
That's
hard
like it.
ones.
Just 2.
All the NBA ones you give me, I don't know anything. Like, give me an MLB one, and I'll show you what's up. All right.
I'll give you an MLB one next week. Deal?
You should, yeah.
Okay.
You should.
MLB one
All
next
right.
week.
Thank you for listening. Maybe probably will be a little tougher next week. I can tell you. Hey, other than that, thanks for listening. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify. I don't know where you're at, so I'm in YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok. Yeah, thanks for listening.
Appreciate it.
See ya.